No, I won't stop.
So what is going on, guys? Welcome to another Garden Warfare 2 video. Today is going to be talking you through how you can complete the Spooky Squash boss hunt. Now, I know this video is a little bit late, coming on a Saturday when the boss hunt was released on a Thursday, but I still did want to make this video for those of you that are confused, and especially if there are people who are playing on their own. You want to try and find other people that know how to do this boss hunt. One thing I do want to mention though is if you are on Xbox One, if you go and join my club, you'll be able to find a bunch of people that will be able to help you out with the boss hunt, or are also looking for people to complete the boss hunt. They're very friendly, it's very active, so make sure you do go ahead and follow the club. Now that that's out of the way though, we are going to be taking a look at the boss hunt, the Spooky Squash, and I'm going to be telling you how you can complete this in all the steps. So the first step you want to do is place the bait down. Of course, this is going to depend on how difficult the boss hunt is going to be. If you want to try and get all of the hats, you can do this by completing it on normal difficulty 4 times, hard difficulty once, and crazy difficulty once as well. You get the scrumptious customization on crazy difficulty, the gem customization on the hard difficulty, and you can get the normal, silver, gold, and diamond customizations by completing it on normal difficulty. So don't think that you need to do it on hard difficulty a lot or crazy difficulty a lot. You only need to do it once on either of those to get yourselves the higher tiered hats. Now, one thing I do want to mention before you want to place the bait down actually is what characters would you want to play with on your team. Now, personally, I think Toxic Brains is the best at boss hunt. In total, he's the best character to play boss hunt with, so if you had maybe 2 Toxic Brains and 2 Scientists, that would be really, really good. You don't want to take close-range scientists like the zoologist or the chemist. You want one that's got range, like maybe the astronaut or the archaeologist. You want one that's got range because you're just going to get destroyed if you're trying to take out the bosses very close or the squash very close. You really do want that range so you can deal quite a bit of damage. So I would suggest 2 Toxic Brains, maybe 2 astronauts or 2 archaeologists as well. Once you have placed the bait down though, the next step is pretty obvious. You need to protect this bait. Now, it's been the same in every boss hunt, so you need to protect it from the waves of like plants. You get chompers and corns sometimes in this as well, but then later on, before the squash does appear, you will have a torchwood which appears as well. Now, he's not too difficult to take out if you are using 2 Super Brains, or 2 Toxic Brains, should I say. Once they do go into Toxic Overload, they deal a hell of amount of damage, so he's not too difficult to take out. But once that's done, the squash will spawn from the bait that you place down. Now, once the squash has spawned, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. A lot of people will start attacking the squash, but you don't want to do this because it's just not going to work. He has way too much health, and it's definitely not going to work. What you want to do is go onto the kind of platform in the center of Aqua Center. There are going to be 2 tombstones because you need to anchor the Guardian. Now, the Guardian is a torchwood that's got a lot of health, but what you need to do is have 2 players, 1 on each of these tombstones. There's going to be a ring that appears around them. You need to keep those players in these rings. If they leave the ring, the anchor is going to be kind of stopped, and the torchwood is going to disappear. So that means if you've almost vanquished the torchwood and then you decide to leave the circle, or one of your teammates gets knocked out and they're not in the circle anymore, the torchwood is going to disappear, and you're going to need to repeat this process all over again, and the torchwood's going to be on a lot of health. So this is mainly time consuming, so if you do make mistakes, you're going to need to take the torchwood out again, and it's just going to waste more time. So what I would personally suggest doing is having both or 1 of the Super Brains or the Toxic Brains on the anchor, and maybe the other one being a Scientist. You want to put a heal station down next to these tombstones. I think it's best having both Toxic Brains doing this, because if the squash decides to come to the tombstone, you should be able to heal yourself with a heal station. And also, because Toxic Brains, once he goes into Toxic Overload, he'll actually go back up to 100 health and also resist damage. He's going to be very good to be able to keep control of the tombstone, take out all of the little weed minions, and also hopefully not get taken out. Of course though, because both Toxic Brains are in the circles, they're not going to be dealing as much damage to the Torchwood, but that's why I would suggest using Range Scientist so they can take him down from range and not get taken out from close range. Once you have taken out the Guardian, you can leave the Tombstone location. That's not going to be a problem anymore, and a Hungry Bucket is going to emerge on the map. You want to go over to this and pick it up. It's going to work slightly like the Gnome Bomb, so the person that has picked up the Hungry Bucket cannot use any of the abilities, but this is very crucial because some champions are going to appear. Now, once you vanquish these champions, they're going to drop some candy or something, but only the player that picked up the Hungry Bucket is the one that needs to pick up the candy. If anybody else picks up the candy, it's going to say that the candy is too sour, and you're going to need to defeat another champion. You need to pick up 3 candy in total, so that means that the person that picked up the Hungry Bucket is going to need to eat all 3 candy. If someone who doesn't have the bucket eats a candy, it's going to be too sour. You're going to need to defeat another champion, and once again, this is just wasting more time that you can use to damage the squash. Once all 3 candy have been picked up, you will be able to attack the squash. You will notice that the damage you can do is in the thousands. I think with a super multi-ball, when you're in Toxic Overload, it'll deal like 15,000 damage per kind of shot, and that's why you don't want to damage the squash beforehand, because he's got a ridiculous amount of health, and you need this super buff to be able to deal all of this damage. So once you've ate all of the candy, go straight over to the spooky squash and you can deal a lot of damage. The Toxic Brains are going to deal a hell of an amount of damage in Toxic Overload. The Scientists can heal each other or maybe heal the Super Brains if need to be, but they can also deal a lot of damage from range. And once you've run out of time to be able to damage the spooky squash, there will be a little time indicator in the top right corner. You will need to repeat the process again from starting, where you need to go up to the top of the Aqua Center, anchor the Guardians in the Tombstones, and then continue the process from there. So basically, a whole summary is you need to go to the Tombstones, anchor them, take out the Guardian. You'll then need to pick up the Hungry Bucket. You need to destroy the champions. The person that picked up the Hungry Bucket needs to eat the candy, and after that you can then start dealing a lot of damage to the squash. Hopefully you guys did find this tutorial helpful. If you did, make sure you do give it a like down below, and hopefully those that are maybe struggling are going to be able to find it a lot easier, and hopefully those that are playing on their own are going to be able to find more people that know how to play this boss hunt as well, because it's so frustrating when you're playing this boss hunt and you're anchoring the Guardian and then one of your teammates just walks off and it totally just deletes the progress you've done on the Guardian because they don't understand what to do. But hopefully guys did enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. My name is ZEROxFUSIONZ, and hopefully I'll catch you guys next time.